This is Unit 5, Week 1, question number 9. What's the AFL and how did it try to help workers? The American Federation of Labor was founded by its first main head, Samuel Gompers, in 1886. What was it supposed to do? It represented only skilled workers, people who had a specific trade, carpenters, electricians. If one of these workers went on strike, the factory owner or the employer couldn't just go hire somebody off the street. So by organizing only skilled workers, they had a better chance of going on strike and getting what they wanted so they'd be allowed back. They're harder to replace. Also, the AFL did not demand social change. It didn't try to change politics. In Britain, one of the major parties today is the Labour Party, going back to when members of unions wanted to become part of government. No, the AFL wanted what were they called bread and butter issues. They weren't radicals like the IWW, the Wobblies, who wanted social revolution. The AFL wanted better pay, better working conditions. And they tried to avoid strikes with a new strategy called collective bargaining. To get their basic goals of an 8-hour workday, better pay, safe conditions, they would organize as a group and appoint one person to represent them, who would then negotiate with the factory owner or the employer, and they would come up with, okay, we will work for $5 a day. And the union head representative said, no, we want $6. So they decide on $5.50. But that one negotiation would then go back, after an agreement was made, would go back and all the members of the union would vote whether to accept it or not. If they accepted it, then they promised to work for that period of time under those conditions. If they rejected it, then their representative, who was collectively bargaining for them, would go back and negotiate with management. But it gave management an incentive to make a deal. Why? Because if they made a deal, they knew that the union would follow that contract for a period of time. And both sides, the workers and management, knew when that contract was going to come up, when it was going to expire. So what would they do? They would try to negotiate a new one in advance. And if they couldn't make a new contract by the time that old one expired, then the workers might go on strike. But this was an incentive for owners to work with unions and to try to avoid strikes and use them only as a last resort. So it was a very effective, successful union that's still around today. There was another group, a union, the CIO, Congress of Industrial Organizations. They were a union of unskilled workers, or skills that you learn on the job. The CIO and the AFL eventually in 1955 merged to form a massive, huge union that's around today. But the AFL was the first really successful union because of its strategy of having only skilled workers and negotiate contracts for set periods of time. And also they grouped their workers by trade. So electricians would be in the electrician part. Or cigar workers, Gompers was a cigar worker, believe it or not, that was a skilled trade, would be with the, so if the whole union didn't go on strike, only the part that was trying to get the new concessions from their job. So it was well organized, not radical, and they signed contracts for periods of time, which made it the most successful union in American history, at least in the early years. And that's it from some guy in an Aloha print shirt.